welcome to the JoyScore podcast. My name is Graham. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Bob and Aanya, and our topic today is about environments. Now, environments are a very big part of your life because you are always in some sort of environment, whether you are aware of it or not. And so, the first thing I want to ask you guys is, what do you consider to be an environment? Is it the place, the people around you, the ideas? What is it to you?
To me, environment is all of those things. It's the place you're in, the people you're around, and I think an environment is also the attitude you bring into wherever you're going. I think that also is a big part of setting the mood of an environment, or even like bringing an environment, because I feel like feelings or emotions and even actions can form an environment. I feel like it can be all those things together, and it can be all those things separately as well. So, yeah.
Great answer. Yeah, I think a very interesting point there is the fact that one part of the environment can be more impactful than others. You know, the attitudes and ideas, maybe they're different to you, so that'll make the environment stick out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. I have a quote here from the JoyScore book that says, "People engaged in positive interactions just seem happier. They smile and laugh more, which is infectious in a work group or social setting. These environments are joyful." Do you guys agree with this? Do you guys think that the glass half full or the positive minded people have a fix on putting themselves in good environments?
I wouldn't. Yes, overall, yes. The fix is, I think they bring the good environment again, the positive people, so they can build their environment around them to be good, even if it isn't that way. Because as the quote said, that kind of energy is infectious. And so I think people also just want to be happier than they want to be sad. So if, 5 people in a room are happy and you're bringing in negative energy, most likely you're going to take the energy off of the 5 people more than the 5 people taking the sad energy off you. So yeah, that's like the gist of my answer for that one. What do you say?
I would say that it's not that they have any sort of like hidden answer to being comfortable where they are, but just their willingness and their attitude to be open to new things, to be positive to the things coming towards them that they can't control. That is what creates, oh, this person's always happy. Oh, this person's always in a good mood. That's what creates that environment around them.
Yeah, it's like the energy they bring.
Exactly, yeah.
Have you ever heard of how perception can become reality to your mind?
A little bit.
Like manifesting a bit, or
yeah. So to human mind, perception is reality. I mean, if your perception is that at a given time where you are is a good place, it's a positive place, it's glass half full, not half empty. So that perception would become your reality. Sometimes you can have perception about a friend, like your friend, let's say, is not being kind to you, and you have this perception. So that perception in your mind can become a reality, even though the person really is not unkind. But you have this perception in your mind that this person is unkind to me. And you may just turn around and be unkind to the person, thinking that this person is unkind because that's the perception you have. So you have to be sort of cautious how you allow your perception to be so that you don't allow the negative perceptions to influence you. And you can control that to some extent. And that's how it can also influence the environment you have or you are in. And this is how you can control it. Sometimes you have a choice. You can deal with it in a positive way or a negative way. You always have a choice.
So it's like how you choose to see the situation and act
Right.
upon it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't, like, you can choose to bring a certain energy.
Yeah.
Every time. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like, we had a podcast, and we have, you can actually look at some of these podcasts. You can ask soon to share them with you. So we have this gal, she's from England. Her name is Connie Rose. And she's a happiness and addiction coach. And in one of the podcasts, she was talking about that you can change how you feel by changing your physiology. Meaning, even if somehow you feel that you're really not very happy today, right now, because there's something bothering you, but you go ahead and put a smile on your face, or you start laughing, you know, someone may think you're crazy, you know, I mean, why are you laughing? But you say, hey, that's what I want to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So you change your physiology to change how you're feeling about something. So this is one of our techniques or tools, how you can bring a change, even though you're feeling kind of not very happy, you're a little bit sad, but you can turn it around based on your physiology and how you're going to deal with it. Instead of, well, you can have a sad phase, so you can start crying, or you say, no, I'm going to smile. I'm going to laugh. So, so in the process of doing that, you actually even forget that you were sad or you weren't very happy at that given time, you know. So your perception can change, your physiology can change, and um, it can be an interesting transformation at a given time because you have a choice.
Very interesting. I find all that stuff about perception versus reality and how fake things or not real things turn into real things. I find that all very, very interesting. So
Well,
thank you
the
for that.
human mind is very interesting, where uh, it always thinks of a perception a reality, meaning even though it's not a reality, but if your perception is that this is how things are, that's going to become your reality, you know,
Right.
because you're going to say, oh my God, that's what it is, you know, although it's just a perception, it's not reality, but to you, that becomes the reality.
It's like
Wow.
fake it till you make it phenomenon.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So, and the same thing, you know, it's about, you can call the science of happiness, you know, or approach to joy. You can decide and you can choose to be happy or joyful at any given time, even though something is bothering you. Or a friend of yours you feel is being unkind or is bothersome or is just not, you're not comfortable with somebody. But you can choose to say, listen, I'm not going to let it bother me. I want to instead smile. I want to be positive about it, you know. And because that's your perception, your reality is going to change.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, moving on, I've got another quote here from the JoyScore book that says, "Your environment is constantly changing. As your body tries to adapt to ever-changing circumstances, that is when your body is stressed." So I was wondering if you guys could share some tips or ideas for staying calm and content in the environment that you're in, even if you are unable to control it or change it.
I think it's a hard thing to handle in any given situation, but I think the whole tangent that Dr.B went on, I think that kind of answers the question. It's like your perception can choose to say, hey, listen, like you need to stay calm in this situation. Like you need to pretend like these things aren't bothering you, and then they'll start not bothering you. And I think over time, people and environments just become more comfortable in general because they get used to it. And I think that's like a slower change of perception. Like if we're really thinking about it, it's just like your mind is like, okay, like these things actually aren't that bad. But if you could do it right away, that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think you make some good points there. One thing I would say is that no matter how comfortable you're in your own environments that you're at frequently and with regularity, there's always gonna be a place or a time or a person that will make you feel uncomfortable or stressed or not safe in an environment. And yeah, I think there's just not any amount of planning that can stop you from being in an uncomfortable environment sometimes.
So I think I hear you when you say environment. Sometimes you may be referring to uh, a situation, which is an environment.
Mm-hmm.
A given situation is a given environment, You
Sure.
can look at it both ways. And so the thing to keep in mind is that irrespective of given situation or given environment, you still have the option of deciding how you want to feel about it or how you want to control it or what you want to get out of it, you know. So it's the same thing, in a very simple way. If if you happen to be in a situation where it's really bothersome, you're not happy about it, but that's what it is. Okay, so you can choose to be unhappy, miserable, you know, have a bad time, or say, listen, I don't have the time to have a bad experience.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather feel good about it and just move on, and change my reality. So
Yeah.
it's like, how do you change your reality when you're in a bad situation? I mean, to start with, you notice that it's not comfortable, it's negative, it's not happy, it's not, but you decided to, but I don't want to experience that. Instead, I want to turn it around. I want to start being positive about it. You know, so uh, it's kind of a little stretch as an example, but I'm going to give it to you so you can relate to it. Graham is in Eugene, Oregon right now, right? Are you in Eugene now?
I am,
Yes. So,
yes.
so in 1978, I was in Eugene and I was doing a project, and it was a commercial residential um, project. And in the middle of the site, there was a huge, very old cherry tree. So generally, when you have something like that, it becomes kind of an awkward um, nuisance in a project because instead of being able to do what you want to do, you have to deal with this tree, which is right in the middle of your site. So I said, okay, I'm not happy about it. So I have choice of either calling it to be a nuisance or something negative, or I can think of it as an opportunity, meaning I take the whole project and turn around it. So it becomes something I celebrate. I enjoy or just kind of make a big deal out of it. And actually, that was a solution to the project where the tree became the centerpiece for the project, an opportunity for the project rather than being a negative element that one had to deal with. Another example in Eugene was this: I had a painter, and his wife opened a place on the railroad tracks right next to it called Mulligan's Soup Kitchen, and she made amazing soups, chilies, and cornbread, and people just loved it. But so this little barn that they were using as their restaurant was kind of a interesting place where every time the train came by, the whole barn would shake, and people would have to grab onto their soup dish so it doesn't fall off the table because everything starts rattling. So he came to me and said, "Hey, I got a problem. My customers come and they're sitting and having their soup, and all of a sudden the train comes by and they got to hang on to their bowl of soup so it doesn't start rattling and sliding off the table." I said, "Yeah, there is a problem." So I thought of many different opportunities or solutions. Some are very expensive to literally isolate the barn so that it doesn't vibrate with the vibration of the train, which is very expensive procedure. So I said, maybe we can try to make the train passing by becoming part of their experience of enjoying the soup and cornbread. Meaning, I said, you boarded up all these windows to the train track. Why don't you open one of them up and let people see the train going by, rather than them just hearing it and rattling and, let it be part of the experience of people seeing the train go by. And he opened one of the windows up, and we sat there and looked at people and see what they uh, felt. And we realized that when they could see the train go by, the train became the focus, and it became a positive experience instead of a negative experience of the bowl rattling and falling off the table and things like that. So we opened all the windows up, and it actually added so much more to the experience of people coming there and having their soup and chili and cornbread. So what I'm saying is sometimes you can take negative realities that you're facing and find a way to turn them into positive experiences, something you can enjoy instead of fighting it or suffering from it. So these are the two examples of more architectural concepts and problems and solutions. But things like that can apply to everyday life, sometimes. Where you can start thinking about, okay, how can I turn it into an opportunity, a positive thing, or something I can still enjoy and not suffer from it?
Makes sense. It's hard though, I think.
Oh yeah.
It's very hard
You,
to.
you have to train yourself.
Yeah, some situations it's just like I don't want to do this or I don't want to
I
be.
know.
And so I feel like you know, like it's a good mindset to have, but sometimes it's just
Well, the approaches. So there's another one you can keep in mind that remember, if there is a problem, there is a solution for it. You
yeah.
can always tell yourself, listen, the problem does not exist without a solution.
Hmm.
So it's like a yin yang. They're both there. You have to just find it, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes, uh, human mind has a very strange way of dealing with things. So when you have a problem, either you can dwell on the problem and say, oh my God, I got a problem, or focus on solving the problem. So when you're trying to focus on solving the problem, what happens? You're not experiencing the problem anymore because your mind is focused on solving it.
Yeah.
So you change your mind's focus from problem to solving it, and it's a whole different experience.
Got it.
Yes, and I would say that, Anya, you said that it can, of course, be tough to use this mentality every time we're in an uncomfortable situation. But I think the key to really having that mentality be a permanent part of your life is just trying it as much as you possibly can,
Yeah.
and soon it'll be second nature.
Yes, that's the thing. Once it becomes second nature, you won't even think about it. Automatically
It'll
go there.
become muscle memory at that point because
Yeah,
of the repetitions.
yeah.
All right, moving on. Another part of environment, of course, is dealing with nature and living creatures. How would you guys say your side of your relationship with this side of environment is?
Like what we think an environment is.
Or yeah, do you make a point to get outside every day? Do
Yeah.
you
I
do you
I
find yourself to be more joyful when you're experiencing nature more?
I play sports, so it's like that's what I like to do and make it a point to do it every day. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I think it really calms you down. I think that's another thing you can do actually to like answer your previous question. It's like go out in like nature or do something that's like very calming that you know will just like, oh, this is a fresh of breath air or a breath of fresh air, and that can sort of calm you down. And animals are pretty awesome too, except bugs. Bugs, bugs are a little annoying, but I think like having a like I feel like dogs are super just like even cats and like horses, just like there's like some sort of connection you have with animals like that that helps, I think, in sort of calming you down. And yeah, it's like a proven thing too with dogs. Like there's like calm, like people have dogs because it helps them like remain calm. So
Right, and you see schools nowadays having like emotional support dogs come in to help
yeah,
people. I think it's definitely clear that if you can just make yourself part of nature a little bit more, just trying those little steps to try and get outside more and experience it more, you will find yourself to be more joyful.
yeah. Also, it's just like so pretty. Like you can just go up to the mountains and like enjoy a view for an hour, and it'd go by pretty fast.
Definitely. All right. Moving on. Obviously, we have been stuck inside in our own environments for quite some time now this year. Have you guys made any modifications to your at-home workstation to be a little bit more productive during these times?
I like move around. I I'm like in a different place every day. So whatever that says about my environment, you can you can take whatever you want from that. But I'm like either at the country club or like at home or like a different place, just on my laptop doing my schoolwork or whatever. But I think the change of environment sometimes is a little bit refreshing. Like it could be uncomfortable, but I feel like it's like a new perspective to get stuff done. And if you're in a time constraint, I feel like sometimes it's good to like go somewhere else, get it done, and then come back home. So
No, 100%. I think that
yeah.
you can't just be looking at your computer screen in one spot for, you can only do that for so long. So it is very helpful to your productivity, I think, to just even just move around your place a little bit, just different spots, different views, anything helps.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, one last quote I wanted to share before we start wrapping up from the JoyScore book is, as in every other environment, your own attitude and behavior define your relationships. Is there anything else you guys want to add before we wrap up this episode?
I think that quote summed up this episode pretty perfectly.
Great. Awesome. Well, then, with Aanya and Dr. Bob, my name is Graham, and thank you for joining us on the JoyScore podcast.